I mean, this poll, 47-44, this one was like, what? I mean, nobody even talked about Iowa for months, and now all of a sudden it's the big headline.
Wow, this has thrown the political world for a loop because neither party, go back here, neither party has been treating Iowa as a battleground at the presidential level. Remember, Donald Trump did incredibly well here in 16 and 20, won by more than 8 points. This would be, if this actually happened, Harris ahead by 3 over Trump in Iowa. That would be an 11-point shift for Harris in Iowa.
Earlier, we showed you that surprising new poll out of Iowa. It shows Vice President Harris up 3 points over the former president, 47% to 44%, which is a big turnaround from the same poll in September. Now, that number is still within the margin of error, so there's no clear leader. But a swing like this, and from such a well-respected pollster with a long track record in Iowa, has some wondering if this could be an indication that Harris may overperform in the Midwest Tuesday night, including even in battlegrounds like Wisconsin.
All right, everybody, we're down to the last 24 hours before Election Day. I can't believe this is almost over. There have been a ton of early votes that have come in so far, and we had this last-minute polling data that came in from a very respected pollster out of Iowa that said perhaps it looks like, based on the poll that she did, that Kamala Harris is leading Trump by 3 points. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to show you in a moment at the end of this video why you really don't need to be worried about that, no matter whom you choose, whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. But take a look at this.
What is the climate in Iowa? One thing that might be notable here is you look at where Harris is drawing her support from in this Des Moines Register poll. Among women, 20-point advantage over Trump. This is particularly strong for her independent women and senior women. Trump obviously doing better with men. But one thing to keep in mind in Iowa, abortion has been front and center there with that new 6-week ban that went into effect this summer.
Okay, I know a lot of you out there who are Donald Trump supporters are saying, that's crazy. Even Donald Trump came out and said, that's crazy. It's absolutely, you cannot trust anybody who's coming out and saying Kamala Harris is going to win Iowa. As a matter of fact, he said it just the other day.
I got a poll, I'm 10 points up in Iowa. One of my enemies just puts out a poll, I'm 3 down. Why do they announce a poll that's highly skewed toward Democrats and liberals? Why do they do that? When you read it, they interviewed far more Democrats than they did Republicans. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? And I guess there's a law that they have to say that because they would have preferred not having to say that.
Well, I'm joined now by J.Ann Selzer, whose firm, Selzer and Company, conducted the poll. And back with us is David Axelrod and John King. And first of all, how surprised were you at these numbers? What do you make of them? And also, obviously, feel free to respond to what the former president said.
We first saw the numbers on Tuesday morning. Monday night was the first night in the field. And I walked into the office and I'd seen overnight, I'd seen the unweighted data and it had Harris leading. And my assistant said, did you see the data? And I said, I'd like to see weighted data. So the weighting is how we take care of things that would make our poll unrepresentative. We align things with a known population and we extract from a larger group the people who meet our definition of likely voters, and that is people who've already voted and people who say they will definitely vote. So when former President Trump says we interviewed more Democrats, well, that's what came out of our data. We did nothing to make that happen. I'm a big believer of keeping my dirty fingers off the data. So we did it the way we did it when he won in our final poll twice in 2 election cycles. Very same method.
He said you're an enemy of his. Clearly that's not the case. You have had polls in the past which have shown, that Hillary Clinton wasn't going to do as well in Iowa as a lot of people thought. So you have been, delivered news which has upset Democrats and upset Republicans and people all over the map in the past.
Right, without favor toward one side or the other. I think that the best news I can deliver, and this is true of my non-election related clients, the best news I can deliver is my best shot at what's true.
And to the Democrats who are saying, wow, this is really good news. What does this possibly portend for other states if we see this demographic shift like this in Iowa? Well, go ahead. This is what I promised you in the beginning of the video. Go ahead and take a look at this. This is what will happen whether or not Iowa votes for the Republicans or for the Democrats. Okay, so in the previous video, I covered 270towin.com. This is a really great interactive site that you can use on election night so you can see exactly what's going on in real time. You'll notice that we have Nevada and Arizona in the west, that we have those as toss-ups. We have Georgia and North Carolina on the east, and then we have the Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So if we go through this really quickly, Nevada is leaning blue, so we'll change that to Democratic. Arizona is leaning red. Georgia is leaning red. North Carolina is leaning red. And then Michigan and Wisconsin are both leaning blue, so we'll change those to blue. So you'll see right here, you'll notice that the Electoral College total right now is 263 for Democrats and 256 for Republicans. And right now we have Iowa colored in blue based on the latest polling. Even if we change this to red, however, you see that the Electoral College total changes from 257 to 262 if it's colored, if it votes red. And if Iowa goes blue, it's 263 to 256 with the Democrats in the lead. So all of this still comes down to Pennsylvania. So everyone just calm down. It doesn't really matter what happens in Iowa. It's only 6 electoral votes. If Iowa winds up voting for the Democrats, it does kind of give us a little bit of information about what's going to happen in Wisconsin because the demographics of these two states are very similar. But regardless to what happens in Iowa, if Iowa goes to the Democrats or if it goes to the Republicans, neither side has the 270 Electoral College votes that they need to win. This is all going to come down to Pennsylvania. As I said before in an earlier video, this is all going to boil down to Pennsylvania. Do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe, hit your notification bell. I have an earlier video that explains using that 270 to win website and explains exactly why this entire election is going to boil down to Pennsylvania. Look, I know you're busy. You don't have time, perhaps, to consume the news and watch the polling. So I'm going to do that for you. One thing I'm going to promise you here at the David Seaton Show, I am always going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to just tell you something that you want to hear if you're left or if you're right. I'm more concerned about giving you the truth. So guess what? Subscribe, turn on your notification bell. I wanted to drop this really quick video about the polling in Iowa, and I'm going to be covering this election for you over the next 24 to 48 hours until we know who actually won this election. And guess what? I'm going to do that for you. Go ahead, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.